This series is intended for mature audiences. We insist you heed the following content warnings before viewing. Horror themes, language, adult themes, and strong violence and gore, including gun violence. Welcome to the Weird West. Let us tell y'all a story.
I just ride like the wind.
Jonah and Willie, you watch as it just rides off. Our scene begins in the very early morning hours, like probably Hubert's like just winding down, getting some last minute things before settling in for the evening. You are currently in the main center thoroughfare of the safest city in the West. The sunrise is just peeking over the walls that surround the city. And you're noticing as you're walking around the thunderstorm that had rolled in pretty late last night left some mud puddles that you see other people carefully avoiding, just pointedly just stepping over, things like that. There's chatter and the sound of horse hooves just squishing into the mud. You see one idiot got his wagon stuck trying to go straight through the mushiest part of the street. He's sitting there stuck in the sludge, and a few people are kind of helping him out. St. Louis, while it's growing in population, it still has the same just busy, almost like small town cheerful vibes in the morning. You're very used to that in the morning. You know that once it gets to like the afternoon, evening hours, everybody's grumpy and it's not really pleasant to deal with. But in the morning, everybody's really happy to greet everyone, wave, nod as you're passing by. People kind of tip their hats to you as you're pushing through. Let's go ahead and start with Joseph Pierce. What is the average day like for Joseph?
A young Chinese man, probably no older than 20 or 21. Mm-hmm. He is carrying a tall spear, and he's wearing these sort of loose-fitting, threadbare clothes that are just a bit too big for him. The most distinguishing feature about him is, in place of his right eye, or where you would expect an eye to be, is this sort of faintly glowing, uncut, amethyst-like stone. I'm Joseph Pierce Jr., sir. Nice to meet you. So Joseph has only been in town for about 2 weeks recently because he was doing a little bit of traveling. And right now he is looking for work. He has sold his home in St. Louis, so he doesn't really have anywhere specific to be. He's probably just hanging out some of the local saloons, maybe some of the local gathering spots, and seeing if anyone is recruiting or needing help, or just he's looking for work these days. And he's holding his spear steadfast. He's trying to look strong, but his clothes are wearing out, and that's becoming very, very obvious as the days go on. So he would take any opportunity for someone to take not pity, but just take a second glance at him and say, yeah, I want that guy.
What is an average day like for Osborne?
Osborne, aka Dusty, is spend a lot of time by himself. Shadow of a beard, 5 o'clock shadow, scruffy, pair of goggles, some wild hair, a long duster, covered in what looks to be soot, coal or something all over the place. It would have an apron underneath. And distinctly, you'd see a streak under his nose that kind of goes up to his cheek underneath there. Really dark. Just looks like he had a bunch of coal or dirt and kept wiping across his face. Which would get repeated as Osborne would often sniff something, tinkering away and in a small little garage, shed, if you will, trying to further and further get out the capabilities, the energy production of Ghost Rock.
Not everyone has access to Ghost Rock, but St. Louis is a very popular place for Ghost Rock. There are quite a few warehouses here housing it from different shipments, but very well guarded. Not many are allowed in unless you are sneaky enough or employed in that particular warehouse. What is an average day like for Hubert?
Hubert Mason, who is a volunteer on the wall who does what I've nicknamed the twilight shift. So between midnight and 6 a.m., he just kind of walks around the upper perimeter of the wall, kind of making sure that nothing untoward, approaches or tries to get into the city. He's been doing it for about 4 years now. He's got a little bit of seniority on the volunteer staff, but not a tremendous amount. But yeah, he carries with him a rifle, strapped to his back. He's got a 6-shooter with a shotgun mounted on the bottom in case anything gets too close. That's the Lamat revolver and shotgun. And then a Bowie knife just in case things get really, really close. So this is probably like 7, 8 in the morning, kind of.
Yeah, 7:30.
Yeah, so like Hubert finishes his like twilight shift, and with the thunderstorm that rolled through, he probably spent most of last night kind of like underneath a parka, just kind of watching out and watch the thunderclouds roll in and the rain beat down. And so at about probably 6, 7 in the morning, when there's kind of a shift change, he goes and meets the next volunteer who will take over. So he goes and kind of debriefs them on, if he had seen anything the night before, which thankfully sounds like it was uneventful, if just for the thunderstorm. And so at that time, he debriefed the volunteer, and after he's got them kind of up to speed for their shift, he would probably make his way back to his 1-bedroom apartment with the intention of crashing out for about 6, 7 hours.
All right. So Mason or Hubert is currently making his way back towards the station or the saloon to sleep. Joseph has been trying to find work different places, walking. We'll say Dusty is probably this early in the morning making his way towards one of the warehouses. You are in this twist of fate that throws all of you together. And, the city is full of people, but you three are walking by the hospital. You've always thought that Dr. Fishbach was weird, especially in the early days of the Walking Dead outbreak, because he was always really fascinated by them, poking and prodding, and you were happy when the city told him that he couldn't keep any in his offices anymore. Safest city in the West couldn't have one of the infected inside of the walls. It just that didn't bode well. So you were pretty happy when the city was like, no, you can't do that. And as you're walking, you actually do see the doctor across the way, like clear on the other side of the thoroughfare, coming out from wherever he had eaten breakfast. He's hard to miss with the like sky blue jacket he has when he's not at work, wearing that hideous just white. It almost looks more like a robe than it does like a doctor's gown or a vest or anything like that. It's like way too long and flowy and like silk. Like he's clearly made of a ridiculous amount of money. So you see him across the way, and just as you're passing by the hospital, the only thing that really catches your attention, makes you stop for a moment, is you hear this muffled from the walls, but scream of pain from inside of the hospital. And you see the doctor way off on the other side. What do? The three of you, like passing by, probably heading in different directions. but you hear this just scream of pain coming from inside. What would you like to do?
Dr. Fishback is outside of the hospital currently?
Yeah, he's down the thoroughfare, down the street.
Is he going inside after the scream as well?
He is coming out of like having breakfast. He doesn't seem to have heard the scream. Not from there. The only reason you three heard it is because you were passing directly in front of it at this point.
Doctor! Doctor!
Start shouting out for him. What are the other two doing?
Joseph would also likely, sort of, when he hears the scream and he sees Dr. Fishbach walking away, not really noticing, he would also start calling out, Doctor, sir, did you hear that? Doctor, excuse me.
Okay.
Given kind of what Hubert sees beyond the wall, and he probably doesn't really have a lot of patience for the Walking Dead, and knowing his track record, he would just go to the hospital.
All right. So walking by, the three of you kind of make brief eye contact for a moment after the scream happens. And then Hubert turns and just sprints into the hospital as you two are shouting and like trying to wave the doctor over. And now we are going to cut to Luthor. You have stumbled out of the hospital bed just to cough up blood and hear something small clatterings to the floor as you cough. And as soon as you're done just coughing and retching, you wipe your mouth and you're just looking down at two of your teeth that just sit in a small puddle of just thick blood on the floor. And
Oh God.
the pain is fading. It doesn't hurt quite as much anymore. But you definitely feel funny, just like this aftermath of pain where you're like, I don't know what I'm feeling right now. You hear the front door open, and as it opens, you hear the voices, Doctor, Doctor! They're yelling for the doctor, but then you hear the door kind of creak. What would you like to do?
Well, Luthor, who is normally very well composed, he's almost what you'd consider a fancy man. He always had like expensive shirts and clothing and embroidered stitching on his gun belts and everything. So even though he's feeling like garbage, he's going to try to compose himself as best as possible. So he's like kind of buttoning up his torn shirt that has blood all over it. He finds a bandage and puts it around his face, grabs his hat, puts it on, and then, if somebody comes in, he'll probably be putting on his gun belt, and just, he looks like an utter disaster, but he's just like, oh, maybe I'm okay now. Maybe I look all right.
Go ahead and make a performance roll.
Oh, I would love to. That is a 5.
Okay.
Actually, a 6.
Sure. All right. So you're putting yourself together, basically. Hubert, you're walking in this main little waiting area. You don't see anyone super early in the morning, completely empty. I mean, you saw the doc. He's not quite in yet, so he's not in here to even greet you or anything. And you just see, make a notice roll for me.
You got it. So.
Has the doctor turned around yet?
He is noticing you yelling. Yeah.
Okay.
That is only a 4.
Okay, that's still good. You walking in here, everything seems fine, and then you look at the door to the back, and you do notice like a little smear of blood where someone would have grabbed it to maybe close it. It's dark. It's definitely dry. It's been there for a little while and just hasn't been cleaned off.
Okay, yeah, Hubert would probably kind of reach for, probably towards his pistol. He's not going to draw it, but he'll just be at the ready because, blood on a doorway is probably not a good sign. And he'll just kind of call out. So can he crack the door and kind of call into the room?
It is closed. You can go over and open it and call in if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, I'd love to.
Sure.
Hubert Mason, Volunteer Protection Services. Anyone in there?
Yeah. It's Luthor Richter. I'm just getting dressed here. Hang on, give me a second.
All right. Would you be the one crying out?
I don't know if I'd call it crying.
Waving down the doctor. He looks over. He kind of squints and puts a hand in front, like above his eyes, even though he doesn't really need to. He's just kind of squinting over to you. Your Joseph at least is like waving, like come over here. And so he doesn't look to be in much of a hurry. He kind of straightens his clothes and starts walking over. You see him avoiding a couple of the puddles. Both of you make a notice roll.
Joseph, go ahead.
Go ahead, Joseph.
Oh, Joseph has a 9, so I rolled a d6. It aced, and then I got a 3 on top of that, so a 9 total.
Okay.
I have a 2 and a 1. I'm gonna Benny.
Sure.
And re-roll. Not much better. A 3.
All right. Your attention is more on the doctor. Like, what the fuck is taking you so long, bro? Get over here. Like, you're just looking at him like, we don't have all day. I got places to be. Joseph, however, after waving him down, kind of looks over, and you notice the sound of like quite a few horses running. Like there are riders rushing in through the gates. You're not quite able to see what's going on with that quite yet, but you do notice that they're coming in.
Question. So they're coming into the gate or away from it?
Into the gate. Yeah.
Okay. And then Joseph might sort of point over at the other man yelling for help for Dr. Fischbach and say, "You there! I'll get Dr. Fischbach. Please go see what's going on inside. I heard a scream." And Joseph might start trying to run towards the doctor, trying to get him to speed up a little bit.
Yeah, you start making your way over towards the dock. Does Dusty go in or just wait at the door here as you just see Joseph Pierce run off?
As Joseph yells, definitely kind of snap Dusty out of a little bit of a daze, whatever, and look around and all right. And he pulls out a rock in his hand and a little file, and he kind of grinds it down. Let's go see what the doctor ordered. And he runs into the hospital.
All right. Yeah, Hubert and Luthor. Now that the door is open, you're able to get a much better look at him as he's putting on his boots. You see a bandage or a cloth kind of over his nose and mouth, and he definitely, I mean, you've seen many people in St. Louis. You know what money looks like. And this is money, but this is money that's had a really hard time.
Yeah.
So you can see the wear and tear, the ripped shirt, and just been through something.
A GM.
Yes.
What I would like to do a stealth roll, because there's something on the floor in the blood, and I want to hide quick. Like I kind of want to boot it aside.
Sure. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So
I would say while you're kind of down. You mentioned you were putting on your boots. So I will say this is only noticeable to Hubert if you fail.
I got a 7.
7. All right. So yeah, he's just down there tying his boots. But yeah, you're able to scoop that up in your hand and do whatever you like with that.
Oh, is Hubert still have his hand on his pistol?
I'd say it's kind of wavering just because of the state of you.
I'm gonna say, son, I wouldn't put your hand near that pistol. I'm pretty quick even in this state, but I ain't no threat to you.
All right, you do look worse than half the things I've seen on the other side of the wall. What the hell dragged you in last night?
I don't even know half of how I got here. I rode in quick and hard, passed out, and everything's a blur. You'd probably notice like above here, like where you see my skin, I'm just like probably sweating like crazy.
Yeah.
At this point, you hear the door open as you hear boots as Dusty's walking in. You walk in, you see Hubert's back is to you probably as he's looking into this back room at Luthor currently, but Dusty does walk in.
Oh, great. More visitors.
Oh, son, I did tell you was crying out. Ain't no shame in feeling pain.
I didn't realize visitor hours were closed.
I just got my clothes on. You almost caught me in my, personal items.
Nothing wrong with the body's natural state. What finds yourself in here?
Just rode in the other day. Had some, difficulties.
Must have been a rough ride.
This is the roughest ride of my life.
Joseph, you're sprinting across the street. What?
You heard it, right? The screaming from the hospital. How could you not have? You don't seem to be taking this very seriously, Dr. Fishbach.
He looks like you've bothered him before he's had his morning coffee, kind of thing,
right.
And he just puts his hand like on your back and is like, well, we'll go together. We'll check out this scream.
Yeah, and Joseph is almost like trying to pull him a little bit at this point, because he cares deeply for what's going on, but he sees the doctor does not care.
Go ahead and make a notice roll for me.
Absolutely. Ugh, 3.
Okay. Yeah, you're looking at him and he's just like, okay, we'll go, and he's just looking off towards the hospital. You hear the riders coming in faster. And the doctor actually puts his arm out to stop you and him both from walking into the street. As they're just galloping by, you see about 6 riders just barreling through. They don't seem to care who's in the street. The horses' hooves are just digging into the mud, just spraying mud everywhere. They are riding in. They have satchels on both sides, seem to be full of something. And as they're going through, you've watched them ride by. They've all passed you, and they all seem to be spreading out. 2 of them are just hauling ass down the thoroughfare, just heading deeper into town. A couple of them are ducking into alleys to head off into different places. One of them, right here on the side of this thoroughfare, pulls something out of the satchel. You see a slight movement and a toss. You're not quite sure what it was. It broke the glass of one of the building windows, slammed through, and you hear just this moment of silence as everyone in the street kind of turned to look at the sound of the breaking glass. And then you hear an explosion. It just takes the whole building, and you see the glass blow out of the other windows. And then you hear that explosion is followed by a dozen more in different places. Dynamite just being thrown everywhere. You see sticks just wrapped together, thrown, just exploding. You see dirt and mud spraying up against walls. You see walls just being shredded and torn apart. These riders, they're storming through this city, and they are throwing dynamite everywhere. There's no exceptions. They're throwing them towards buildings. They're throwing them towards people. This is the scene you're seeing before you. And the doctor's arm is just over you, and his jaw is just dropped in shock. The other 3, it was that moment in your conversation that you heard the first explosion outside. One pretty loud boom, followed by another and another and another, all at different distances.
Oh, I just got up. Is there no rest for the wicked?
Doesn't sound like it today. If it was only one blast, I would have been concerned that it was one of my projects back home, but I ain't that careless. Something else going on.
Luther, you claim to be good with a sidearm. You got one?
Yeah, I got these right here, and I've got 2, the silverest pistols you've ever seen.
Well, consider yourself, I don't know, deputized.
All right, as you are heading towards the door, you see one of these riders has attempted to throw a stick of dynamite into the hospital. You see it hit actually the center frame of the window instead of the glass. So it does hit and bounce off instead of coming into the building, but it does explode right outside of the door. Glass shards fly in. Dusty, I'm gonna have you make an agility roll for me.
Okay. Ooh, that's an ace.
Nice.
Or an 11.
All right. Yeah, so as you hear the dink, of it hitting the wood, you kind of spin around real quick, see what is falling, and you just dive back behind one of the like little waiting like it's sort of like a couch, almost like a deerskin couch sort of thing going on in here. Not quite fancy. Dive
Everybody
back
get
behind
down.
that. Yeah, dive behind that. The glass sprays in. You see mud and debris just spraying in as well. Hubert, you have like covered your face with your hand, standing far enough back that it didn't affect you too much, but glass and just wood shards have sprayed in. And you just hear screams erupting from outside. Joseph, what would you like to do?
So Joseph takes a quick second as these riders are coming in, and the first thing that comes in his head is, has this happened before? But then he hears that first explosion, and his body just tries to act and take both him and Dr. Fishbach down to the ground to try and protect him.
Perfect. Yeah, you both just slam down, squish into the mud.
Right, and this is happening so quickly that Joseph can't really get an idea of what's happening or how to react, but he just knows he has to make himself as small as possible right now.
Right.
So that's what he's doing.
All right.
Well, I'm just walking out there.
Okay.
As I'm on the ground, start reaching into my duster and pull out a small little cylinder, a little larger than maybe a cigar tube, and kind of like click it. And as soon as one of them comes by, I want to throw it out and try and hit it either against the horse or up against the individual as well, and attempt to. A bright light is going to burst out of this canister as I cast blind.
Okay.
And I try and blind this rider. You guys gonna want to close your eyes. And I throw my goggles down.
As he's getting his little cylinder out and toss it.
I figured if we're within, like 40 feet or something, I would probably get the rifle out, and then since they are moving targets, I would kind of take a minute to take aim.
Sure.
So I'm just going to try to get a beat on one, so I'll kind of take a deep breath and pause and see if I can get a lead. Ideally, I'll shoot at a horse, but if I hit a rider, that's fine too.
Okay. So all of you preparing for this, all three of you make a notice roll, and we'll see if you see Joseph.
Ace for a total of 10.
Oh,
Yeah, I got an ace, so total of 8.
Cool. All right. So yeah, the two of you do see. Mostly, you see the blue jacket pulled down beside him, but you do see Joseph just sitting there with his arm kind of over the dock and kind of looking around with almost like a deer in headlights sort of thing temporarily. Well, like, I don't know how to respond to this. All right. So you stepping out, pull out this cylinder, tell everybody to close their eyes, and you toss it. It's not a hard throw. It's more of a like underhand toss, as you're knowing that horse is going to gallop into the cylinder. You're timing it correctly. You're watching. You toss it. It slams into the chest of this horse, and poof, just the light sprays out.
That's a success.
Okay.
So it does go off, and then yes,
it goes off, and you see the horse actually like shaking its head. You have at least temporarily, maybe not blinded, but startled this horse, and you see it taking off in a different direction rather than what its path originally was. It kind of sprints off, and you see the rider more focused on trying to get control of the horse itself. But neither of them are blind. So Luthor, you hear the flash more than see it. You hear it just go off, and you know when you're able to lift your eyes. You see the horse sprinting off. So,
this is interesting for Luthor because he's usually pretty calm and cool. But seeing this guy or this everything going on, he's getting like more like angry about it. He hasn't really felt this level of angry before, and he wants to make them pay. And so he's definitely gonna shoot. If there's any penalties or whatever, I'll use my marksman's edge. Otherwise, I'll just use two-gun kid.
He is a moving target currently.
So marksman reduces the penalties for that. So
Okay,
it's like by 2 or whatever. Okay, the first is a miss. Big win. It's a 5.
All right, roll damage on that second one.
So that's 10, 15 damage.
Okay.
Oh, 16 with the +1.
All right. So you, as he's riding away, he's trying to get control of this horse, and you fire. And you see his back kind of straighten as you fire straight through. Probably his heart. You're pretty damn close, if not spot on. And you see him kind of go limp for a moment. He's still sitting there, like trying to hang on to the horse. And as it gallops, you see him just slip over sideways and fall off. And the horse starts just galloping away. Hubert, what were you looking to do?
I mean, I was going to take a shot at him, but it looks like that problem's been solved.
All right, in that case, I'm going to have you make a notice roll.
Okay. I am just rolling. Ugh, I only got a 2. I'll let it fail.
Okay.
Are there any wounded people nearby? Any sort of shrapnel from the explosions?
Oh, yeah.
Would I notice any of them? Would I notice like an immediate threat, like another rider immediately, or one running away?
You more hear the riders than you see them. You hear the heavy horses, but the thing is chaos has just erupted now. You hear screaming. You hear the crying of injured people. You hear other horses sprinting away from the explosions. You're not sure what horses are dangerous and what horses aren't. People are running everywhere, and it's not just those 2 gunshots either. You're starting to hear multiple gunshots as people are trying to defend themselves in various places. St. Louis has broken into chaos.
The safest place on Earth is no longer safe. Dr. Fishbach, get inside! As he pushes him inside, readies his spear, and just steels himself for whatever comes his way.
You steady yourself, you're looking, you see just the chaos, the horses running everywhere, the people running everywhere. I'm gonna have Luthor make a notice roll.
That's a 6 on a 6-sided die. That's a 6 on a 6-sided die.
Keep it going.
That's a 6 on a 6-sided die. I'm not making this up. Oh my god. I don't even know what that. I'm bad at math, but I know it's high. That's another 6. I swear to God.
Stop. You can't do this.
Okay.
Yeah, where's the dice cam?
Here we go.
man.
I can put it up here. Okay. That's a 2.
Oh.
I thought you were gonna say it's
26.
another one.
No. What was that? 4 6s?
26.
Jesus. I'm never gonna roll that good again.
So 22
All right.
divided by 4 for whatever number of raises.
Do I see like the birth
You
of
see
the
the
solar
universe.
system? Yeah.
So, as you're standing here, there's this moment where, and it's very interesting for you, you can feel almost that familiar sense of the pain that you had felt before, but something's different about it. Like your body's trying to tell you that it's pain, but as you're focusing on it, it doesn't seem to be pain. And you allow it to guide you. And there's this moment where your senses just kind of expand. And you see 3 almost like heat signatures is the only way I can really put this into something.
Predator vision.
Pretty much. You see, you know they're enemies to you. That's all you can categorize them as. And you see them on the rooftops of the highest buildings. You see them with rifles aimed down at the streets.
I would yell, shooters, there.
Yeah, he points them out to you. Just pointing them out, you all look, and it is, I mean, it's easy to see them once they're pointed out, but why would you have looked up? You're kind of wondering how the fuck he even knew that, but he pointed them out, and they're definitely aiming rifles down at you. Not at you specifically quite yet, but they are aiming down, and you see one fire, and one of the people that are running with guns in hand to try to fight these dynamite throwing riders gets just shot through the chest and falls over dead in the mud.
Again, like I'd be feeling this blood rage, and I would run.
Mhm.
So I would use my full movement and my run, like whatever the running thing is, and just go for it. Hail of bullets and all.
All right, so you are sprinting towards one of these buildings. What is Hubert doing?
So, being that I've been in St. Louis for a couple of years, and I assume I've been in the hospital before, would it be reasonable to say that I know there's a way onto the roof?
Yeah.
I would actually double back into the hospital with the intention of getting up to the roof.
All right, so you see Luthor sprinting forward. You kind of take a couple steps just backwards. And then once you're safely inside, you turn around and sprint towards the stairs. What is Joseph doing?
So Joseph would probably do something kind of similar, except instead of the hospital, would he recognize any of the buildings that, or I guess first question, would Joseph notice the specific locations of that the shooters are on?
I'll say you were looking over at him when he was pointing them out. You can't quite see the shooters from your locations.
Sure.
From your location, but
I can extrapolate that there are shooters on those buildings.
Yes.
Okay.
Would I see, sorry to interrupt, but
please.
would I see the kid with the spear?
Yes.
I would yell at him like, come on, kid, let's go.
Yes, sir. Joseph would do this kind of weird little thing where Luthor, you would see his uncut gem eye flash for a brief second. And he begins moving. But it's kind of this weird thing where he's moving normally, but he seems to be running or moving twice the distance that you would expect him to be running. And there's these faint purple sort of after images behind him.
Boards, you could make it to the door.
Yeah.
And just kind of look back as he's crossing the street to get to you.
Dusty pulls out this strange, not really a weapon, but it looks just kind of like almost more of a tube barrel thing, and jams some strange cartridge into it and lines it up. And you just hear this floop as this thing launches up towards them. So 9, darn, it's a 3 after the penalty, unfortunately. So I think I'm still inside anyway because I threw from the inside behind the window.
Okay, yeah, right.
So probably just, duck, maybe go left or right of the window pane.
Sure.
And then gain cover there.
All right, so you saw Hubert just turn around and run towards the rooftop anyways. So we have Luthor and Joseph heading into one of the buildings, and we have Hubert and Dusty in the hospital still kind of holding out there. As you're stepping up onto this rooftop and as you're crossing the street and kind of looking straight down the thoroughfare, you see that the gate, and it's kind of like a sliding gate. The gate is actually being closed. It's just being pushed slowly forward. You see people running up to try to get out of it, and as they're running up, they are being blasted with bullets and dynamite, and you swear you saw like a black flash. That doesn't make any sense, but just this dark flash of energy as well as people are trying to escape and the gates are just being closed. Luthor catches up with Joseph. The two of you push into the hotel. You see people you see some of them like pushing any of the any furniture or anything inside, pushing them like to the windows to try to block the windows as best they can. They're like in the process of pushing towards the door when the two of you kind of bust in. They all look.
Don't worry, we're the good guys.
They all look terrified. You're just
We are?
covered,
Yeah, we
like
are.
bandit covered, and they're just putting up their hands, and the two of you just sprint
Okay.
past.
Keep doing what you're doing.
There's someone on the roof. We're gonna go get them. Stay here. Stay down. Stay undercover.
You see them really confused and trying to process what you're saying to them. You sprint past, you head for the stairs. You see there are people actually still trying to make their way up the stairs to like barricade themselves in rooms and stuff. And you're having to push past them and like climb and like just push through them as you're heading up. Excuse me, and you're just repeating like there's someone on the roof. We're just going. We're just keep doing what you're doing.
Oh my God.
Scurry.
Yeah.
So the two of you are still making your way up to the rooftop here. Hubert and Dusty, you are still at this hospital. You see one of the riders is coming back around, and you see they take out a chunk of dynamite. There's at least like 6 sticks here. The fuse is lit. You see the fuses are all kind of wrapped together, and then a little bit longer of a fuse is placed on that so they can light it as they're riding to find a good place to throw. So this is lit in their hand currently, and they're pulling back to throw. What would you like to do?
So again, he pulls out another little tube, similar to before, and just kind of like tinks it together, pushes in the sides, and just throws it back out there in this burst of light. More lights just come out, and they're like flashing, and it just fully distracts the rider in a daze.
Since the rider is distracted, I'll negate that -2.
Awesome. Then that is a 6 to hit.
Cool.
9 points of damage.
You see the rider like pull on the reins and stop for a moment, just totally confused. Dynamite still in hand, and this bullet just sprays through his head, just explodes. His head is just no longer there. Still holding on to this dynamite. As the head is just blown off, you see the rider start slumping over. The dynamite hits the ground.
I mean, if he just kind of slumps with it, I'd let it happen, and I'd probably just like look over at Dusty and be like, "That was a damn fine assist. Thank you very much."
Damn fine shot. I think we're gonna wanna
We got
get some cover. Pull down the goggles and just kind of hunker down.
There's just a couple more seconds of silence as the fuse is just going, and then you just hear much louder and much more force than you were kind of expecting. As this explodes, you don't even really flinch. It pushes your body a little bit. You actually slide across the floor just a little bit from the force. But as it explodes and shards and shrapnel are falling in on you, with this black powder is ghost rock. The pieces of wood that this explosion has caught is cindering. Like, you would know ghost rock is quite flammable. It is very flammable. So with this explosion, the mix of this black powder and this ghost rock, things are just slowly starting to burn, but like almost where it's not immediately noticeable. It's just this slow burn that is just slowly eating things away. You see it kind of, the spray on the floor is just slowly burning into the floor itself. And you know, when something is burning from ghost rock, it's like acid. Like, there are not many things you can do to stop that burn. So, as you're sprinting through here, Luthor, you're just kind of shoving people, like you're not like rude about it necessarily, but you are grabbing them and moving them out of the way.
Gotta get through.
So I would probably run as far as I can, and knowing that there's someone up there, Joseph would take one last second before opening the door to use another power. His purple eye is going to flash another time, but this time nothing noticeable happens. He just kind of gets this, like some weird wavy purple outlines close by to him, but nothing as obvious as when he was running. And then he's gonna shove open the door and say, "Hey, stop!"
Dusty comes out and is going to take stock of the situation.
You see people shooting at each other, but you can't really tell like whose side is who or what is going on here. I will say you also see something you're a little more unfamiliar with. You see women in almost like shadowed black clothing. You see them...
I was going to say, I'm quite familiar with the ladies.
You see them walking out. They're kind of pushing their hands together like this, and you just see this dark magic just floating around their palms. And you see as they're walking out, they're looking, they eye specific targets and they push that magic towards them. You see it hit them and almost slam into them, much like your bolt in a sense, but it's different. It's darker. Like you can see the darkness push into them. As it hits their skin, you see the black kind of push through their veins from where it hit, and they just kind of seize over and fall.
Hubert, that don't look good at all.
You're not sure how many sides are fighting right now, but there's a lot of danger everywhere currently, and you see that the gates are entirely closed at this point. You know how to get hoisted up. You know how to get up high. You know how to get up over the walls if necessary, or on them.
Okay.
That would give you vantage point on those figures and on the riflemen. Luthor, you make it up to Joseph to see him push open this hatch. Do you pop up? No, I mean Joseph. Did Joseph pop up? I know you yelled something.
Yeah. Joseph would probably pop up and say, drop your weapons, that sort of thing.
Okay, so you see that happen as you are approaching. Anything specific Luthor does in this situation?
I'm probably so angry and full of bloodlust right now that I'm just running out there, like right out in the open.
All right.
Past Joseph. I said, you might want to avert your eyes, kid. And I was just like, ah.
All right, so pushes past you. You see, not expecting it, this rifleman turns around at Joseph's shout, looks over, starts bringing his gun over to fire at you, and then Luthor comes up out of it and just start sprinting towards him.
Yeah.
All right. Spins it around to aim it at Joseph, and then you start sprinting, turns it towards you, fires. You feel the bullet slam into your chest, but it doesn't even slow you down as you are sprinting. The bullet slams. You're pretty sure it's still in there somewhere. You kind of feel it like moving around near your spine, and that should hurt, but it doesn't. And you're sprinting forward towards this man. What is your move?
I'm gonna grab him. I don't know if this is an opposed strength roll, but I'm gonna grab him and I'm gonna pull down my mask and I'm gonna bite him.
Okay. All right.
Should I be worried about this?
Probably, but let's hold on a second.
Okay.
I'm trying to sink in and drink because I have this insatiable hunger right now.
All right,
this guy's an asshole.
I will say go ahead and make a strength roll.
Ooh, it's only a 4.
Okay. Interestingly enough, as you grab onto him and pull him towards you and sink your teeth into his neck, his arm, he was fully just holding this gun, not able to really fight you from grabbing onto him. But as soon as you sink your teeth into his neck, he drops the gun and grabs onto your shoulders and is trying to push you away, but you're like a pit bull right now. you are not letting go currently. Joseph.
So when Joseph woke up this morning, he was hoping to really just have, find some work, maybe help an old lady across the street get a few silver. Instead, his whole city has just seemingly exploded. Riders have come out of nowhere to just terrorize the town and the citizens. And in front of him, a man has just tried to bite another man with these horrible teeth. And something in his brain just breaks a little bit. But he's relying more on instinct than on real logic at this point. So he's going to try and run up, and presumably there's no one else on top of this roof, right?
Just the two
shooter.
of you.
And he's just gonna try to run up with his increased speed and just spear the man. Try to make some sense of what's going on.
Spear me or the other guy?
No, the other guy. he's still got that little nugget of I think I remember you. You're probably you haven't bitten me yet, so you might be good. But just spear the other guy.
So you are latched on, Luthor, and then you feel this person just jolt, and you kind of look down and you see Joseph right beside you, spear just through this man's side. Luthor, I'm gonna have you make a spirit roll.
Please don't eat me. Please don't eat me. Ooh.
6 on the wild, you're not
That
gonna
dice
believe
is
it. I'm
banned.
sorry. I need a die cam now. There's a 3.
At least it caps at that.
Right, yeah. It's not like we haven't gotten to 60 yet. So. That's okay.
All right, so I'm gonna say. First, I'm gonna ask Joseph, how many people have you speared in your life?
A decent amount. He's done a little bit of adventuring, and he trained enough with small animals and stuff. So he's not overly concerned about killing or hurting people, but he's not gonna he's used to blood at this point.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask where you are mentally right now, seeing the scene before you. Are you consciously just trying to spear him and hold him there, or is it like a spear and he's gonna go over the edge sort of situation?
I'm imagining it'll probably be a spear and kind of hold him there, if only
Okay.
because Luthor seems to be kind of grabbing on as well. So he's not trying to make this more difficult for Luthor necessarily. He's just trying to make sense of something by stabbing people.
Okay, and we'll pick up on that in a moment. Hubert and Dusty, you are sprinting. Basically, you run out of the hospital and you run back, like into the alleyway, to try to kind of take some of the back way there. You see, many buildings on fire as these cinders have kind of settled in enough to actually cause flames on multiple things. And as you are heading directly towards this wall station, you see over near the station, you see two of the women that are just circling magic in their hands. They don't see you yet. They seem to be focused more on the street as they're looking out and still slinging magic in that direction. What would you like to do?
Is it Dusty? Do you want to do a 1-2 punch, or do you just want to go in blazing?
I think I might have a thing or two that can try and get them both myself. And just do what you need, what you can do as well.
Okay, I'll let you lead the dance, and I'll mop up what's left, it sounds like.
All right, so I will once again reach into the coat and pull out some larger cylinders. It's kind of shaking them up. They have glass and they start glowing, just kind of a natural white light. And I will, I'm going to cast Burst. Oh yes, so I take these two cylinders and I'm start shaking them, and I guess I didn't shake one of them, good enough. But I go and I throw them out like a little bit before me, and they just kind of like, when they mix together, and it just propels this blast of light energy out in a cone direction out from me, and it engulfs both of the women before us. It's generally a little more of a light visual aspect. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna say, with this burst, these two women hear the sound of the cylinders like clinking together and then spraying out at them. They turn around and you see them both they move, that was like a Doctor Strange movement, I apologize. They like move in a certain way with their hands where the shadow seems to like spray out to meet your magic. And you see the two of them collide, and they actually like mix together almost like sheets of ice slamming into each other and like crumpling there for a moment. As they're crumpling together, you see their magic is more of like, it almost looks like an asphalt, like a wet asphalt sort of situation. As it's coming up, it's just this black goo, and as your light slams into it, you see it kind of fighting together, and your light is able to push through. You see light particles hitting their skin and burning. You see it just burning different parts of their skin, but they were able to, like kind of hold back some of that damage that could have happened to them. And they both have noticed you, but Hubert, you have a go now.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna do a multi-action, and I'm gonna fire. I really just gotta put one of them on the ground, so I'm gonna take 2 shots with the rifle at one target.
Okay.
Just like pop one off and then quickly cock it back and do it again. So 11 damage from the second hit.
All right.
Nice.
So you see them both holding out their hands to fight off this blast that just tried to slam into them. They seem to be actively still trying to hold it off, almost like if they let go, the blast would continue through and do the intended amount of damage. So as they're still trying to hold that off, you bring up it's a rifle, correct?
Yeah, it's a Winchester 76.
All right, yeah. For flavor, are you like down on one knee sort of thing, or are you just standing bringing it up?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel like I almost want to say standing, because that's just the baller move.
Sure, yeah.
This is very pronounced, just like not even, casual.
Yeah, so you bring up the Winchester, fire, pull it back, fire again, just real quick. And both shots, you see the first one slam into actually like right here through the neck. Like it would have done it, but it would have taken a minute. So you fire off the second one. Where do you want the killing blow to be?
First one's the neck. I'll just do the second one for the head. It'll just be like bang, bang.
Yeah, just a natural like gun movement upwards, basically. Yeah. Slam into the head. You see just blood spray back as she falls backwards. You kind of you see pain in the other woman's face as she's like watching her fall. And then she just angrily is spinning magic.
Awesome. Yeah, I would just kind of shout out, I got more where that came from, and I'll just do the same maneuver.
Perfect. So you see that bullet rip through basically her abdomen. You see it just rip through, slam through on the other side. You see her kind of stumble backwards. And for flavor here, the shot itself probably wouldn't have done it. But you see her faltering and her magic fails. And the rest of that blast spell pushes through and just slams, knocks her back off her feet, and she slams down lifeless on the ground. With that, we're going to come back up to Luthor and Joseph. Spear inside of this guy. Do you remove the spear?
How is this man doing? Is he like crying for his life?
He's dead. He is dead.
Okay. Is the man who is currently biting into this dead man, does he seem to be hostile towards me?
You see his eyes dart to you and then just dart back to the man he is currently biting.
Okay. In that case, Joseph would probably remove the spear with like a heave, see the body still there and Luthor biting into it. He knows there are still more threats to be dealt with. 2 more people on top of the other hotels. So he is going to, again, just not thinking too hard about it, but he's going to rush off.
Well, before my friend runs off, I stop biting into this clearly dead man. I wipe my face off and I put my mask back up. And also one of my vampire teeth falls out. Actually, both do.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
I feel good about this. It's a good day.
So then I'm
Feed
like,
once, get new teeth.
yeah, I take a moment and as like, it kind of like the unreality of what happened just washes over me because it was like pure instinct. But then I go, kid, I've seen a lot of things and I'm sorry. Just, you gotta go with the cards you dealt sometimes. What happened to our friends?
There's a lot of people. I'm sorry. I don't know if I can find who you're talking about. My name's Joseph Pierce Jr., sir. Nice to meet you. A little late for introductions, but...
To meet you, I'm Luthor. Let's go inside and do a little planning. Something about the sun. It's awful bright, don't you think?
Hubert and Dusty, you bodies now crumpled to the ground. You have a clear shot at the familiar station. It's almost like it's equivalent to like the size of a like the old movie theaters, like the little booth outside that you would get your tickets and everything. It's like that large. It's really only meant to keep like one worker and the equipment, one worker getting you harnessed up. It's currently empty, but as you run over to it, it is like a half wall sort of situation with windows along all of it. The windows are blasted out at this point, but you are able to, once you get over to it, duck down and take some cover. Dusty is coming in, but you just know he's not crouched down quite enough. And you manage to grab onto him and kind of bring him down closer to the floor before anybody can notice.
Cool. Yeah, I'd say book it up to the top. You can get a good vantage point on exactly how big of a shithole this has become.
You make it to the top and you look down and you see Dusty just having a hard time with this. Looking around, you don't see anybody immediately rushing up to attack or anything. Dusty, however, you feel you hear just like this whiz of a bullet right by your ear, and it slams into the wood of the wall, and you kind of jump, and it kind of pushes you over a little bit, and you're kind of rocking back and forth for a moment as you're holding on.
A little help, please. Pull me up. Oh. Crit fail.
Oh well, I was gonna ask.
Oh no!
Yeah, but
yeah, so that gunshot it just makes your hands, your palms are like immediately sweating, and as you go to try to climb up a little bit more, you just slip off, fall. Luckily, you weren't that high up to begin with, but you do slam down on like your heels, fall over on your butt, and then on your back, and you're kind of laying there for a moment, like breath knocked out of you. Hubert, you're looking down, you see this, and now you see this has drawn some attention. You see a few different people looking from the street. Luthor and Joseph, what are we up to?
What's the plan, sir?
So I would head downstairs and like I'd be doing a couple things. First of all, I'd be looking for a bumbershoot or a parasol so I can go back outside and not have direct sunlight on me.
Roll a d6.
Okay, a d6, eh? All right. There's got to be some ladies' parasols at the front or something. Oh, it's a 1.
Nope. You're not seeing any. You're not sure. Looking around, kind of panicking.
Then before we leave, I'd look for some sort of like cloak or jacket or something that I could just grab and put over me.
Okay.
But in the meantime, I'd ask Joseph, what did you see out there? What do you think we should be doing? Like, we lost our friends.
The first thing I saw, 6 riders came in from the gates, started throwing dynamite everywhere, and I would sort of be giving this report of what Joseph saw on the way there. This is the first time I've seen anything like this, sir. All I know is that there's people shooting at us from the hotels, from the roof of the hotels that you pointed me to.
Well, I gotta tell you, I can't stand outside too long in my current condition. I don't know what you want to do. This is a real head scratcher right here.
If you're looking for your friends, maybe I can go and try and stop the shooters up on the roofs, and you can try and, if you're not able to look into the sun right now, maybe you can stay inside. I'm not really sure what that would do, but I'm basically just suggesting like I can go take care of the people in the sunlight, and then if you need to do something else, then we can further split the party in that case. But,
oh Lord.
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
I mean, yeah.
You're my only friend, Joseph. I don't want you to leave me.
I'll just abandon you immediately.
I guess I would, just because with the data I have on hand, like I have no idea what to do. The only threat I know about is the shooters. I would do, like I said, look for a code or something and just like follow Joseph up there. And then like when he's, this is the plan if this isn't how it goes, but I would try to spot my friends with like under the coat while he's, doing whatever.
All right. So yeah, looking around in the general area, you're not able to find anything, but by the door to leave, you see knocked over is a coat rack, and there are plenty of coats. They've been stomped on. There's a part of you that is like, I cannot wear that filth. But you get over that pretty quickly.
Can I pick the nicest one of the crappy ones?
Yeah, Joseph, you actually see him walk over and start sifting through the coats to find one that better suits him.
This one's crap. This one's garbage.
Yeah, Joseph isn't really sure. Like, he sees them like throw some coats away. It's like, maybe I can. I'm not really sure what you're doing.
You gotta have an eye for fashion, son. I say, look, the town I came from, Podunk Town, nobody remembers the name, it sucks. There were some creatures there, and I'm exhibiting some of the things that, the symptoms that they had, and if I fall from a roof, I don't think it's gonna do much for me. So if you want to go jumping, and you think you can do it, that's fine. I'll try too, but if I break my legs, it might take me a little while to heal, but I think I could do it.
You said you're turning into one of them? Is that what this is?
I was, but look, we don't have time to talk about this whole thing.
Okay, yeah, Joseph's like, he's trying to go, and like with his increased pace, he's moving, and he's like, but just twice as far.
As long as you're not bad a person, I think I can channel my instincts.
All right, perfect. So Joseph is gonna try and again go up to the rooftop and just find one of the nearest hotels that he saw a shooter from, and just like almost psych himself up a little bit, get a running start, and then just like start booking it over across the hotels.
All right, I'm gonna say,
holy Lord.
Oh man, yeah.
This
Let's
is how
see
Joseph
here.
dies. I'm fine with that.
Let's see.
Are you doing
is
that
it-
thing where you squat down and you see
Yeah.
you charging up and then you jump?
The music is building to a crescendo and then a lull as he's
Yeah.
in the middle of the air.
Right.
Yeah. So Luthor, you watch him just take like 3 strides and then just jumps over.
Like-
You
That like thing in midair
Yeah.
where he's like.
you land. There's a moment where you feel like a tightness in your ankle, but
Mhm.
you land and you go into a roll, and
Yeah.
you roll. You're not able to roll back to your feet, but
Sure.
you do kind of just roll prone basically and lay there for a second, sit up and look for Luthor.
I'll give him a thumbs up.
So I would make the jump, but like if you would allow this, Carrie, I would do it like the Hulk, where I'm just propelling myself forward. Like I don't really even care how I land. So there's no agility. It's just pure strength, just muscle power.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds great.
All right, so here we go. So I'm gonna do strength then, if that's
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
that's cool. All right, that's a 6 on the strength die.
Okay. Yeah, so Joseph, you watch as he just suddenly just rockets from this. You don't, when you jump, you're making a conscious decision to like, I know how I want to land. I know
Right,
I
I'm
want to
planning
kind of land with my feet and like roll. But you just see his body like ragdolling in your direction.
I would even be like if I landed like face down and slid a little bit.
Sure. Kind of lands. You hear, you actually hear something snap as he lands, crack, and then rolls a little bit. You stand up. He stops a good few feet away from you. He doesn't roll quite as far. There wasn't as much speed there, and he's laying there for a moment, and he's not moving for a second. You're like, you kind of get a little bit closer to him, and then he rolls over and sits up. You see the way that he landed. He kind of landed. It's still like an instinct to try to catch yourself sometimes. He tried to catch himself with his hand, and his forearm, the bone is kind of just sticking out just a little bit. But it doesn't hurt. You heard the snap, and it looks kind of weird, but you're actually okay.
Oh my god.
Oh,
I'm sure that'll heal up in a moment. I learned some science from a friend of mine, and you gotta experiment first, and then you find out what happens. And I think the experiment's going well right now.
I'll leave that to you, sir. as he just like, is that supposed to be dangling like that?
So Hubert, you are looking down. You've just seen Dusty fall just right onto his back, air knocked out of him. You see a couple of these women turn now, noticing this, and you did hear the bullet hit the wall as well. So there's some rifle attention on you as well.
So it's 2 of the women clothed in black who are kind of making their way over.
Yes.
I guess they already know he's there, so I just call out and say, Hubert, I'm gonna buy you some time, but you might want to get quick about it. And if one of them is within range, I would just try to shoot at him.
Sure. Yeah, as they're starting to make their way over, you see them just kind of building up whatever sort of spell they have going on in their palms. And Hubert, Dusty, I assume you sit up and go for the rope again?
No, I will. I'm probably gonna fight from down here, I think, at first.
Okay, cool.
So,
Cool. I rolled the shooting and got a 6.
Okay.
So then roll the damage. It's that. Okay, so 8 points of damage. No, just 1 shot.
All right. So you hear the Winchester just
Yep.
ring out as it slams into one of these women's, like right above the collarbone. You hear just this loud crack and snap and spatter as that bullet slices through. It definitely slows her down. She stops and kind of falls down onto one knee for a moment. It alters her spell a little bit. The other one's still just spinning the magic in her palms. What are you doing, Dusty?
I get up. Oh, you son of a witch. Take another little filing of my rock and my... Okay, let's try this again. And I'm gonna take 2 more cylinders out, shake them up, and throw them again out in front of me. Another burst of energy out, hoping to catch the both of them.
Okay.
Also with the additional force. There's a
Hubert.
wilder intensity this time around, and anyone watching sees that this is what was supposed to happen.
Yeah, Hubert, you're looking down. You just fired a shot at the first one. Bullet slicing through the top of the shoulder. As she's kind of getting her bearings again and is going to start moving forward once again, you see, at this angle, you can't see Dusty because it's too close to the wall and you're not looking straight down. You just see that blast just spray out again, just that blast of light. Just spray out. It engulfs both of them, like almost like they're swallowed by light. You watch it like burn up in a sense, and as it's doing that, you see their magic fade, and they almost look like they're trying to push it away, like they're trying to like almost like if you get a little bit of ash on you or something, you're like pushing it off of your skin, but they just can't. It's just the light itself. They're trying to fight it, they can't, and you watch them just start just burning away. They're falling down to their knees. As you see that blast, you kind of even like stiffen up a little bit to look down and try to get a better view of Dusty. And as you do so, a bullet slams into your vest. It kind of knocks you backwards. You're laying on your back now as the bullet slammed into your vest. It doesn't hurt you, like it doesn't give you any injuries or wounds or anything, but you're laying there like, oh, okay. Just trying to catch your breath from that impact. And now you know the rifleman has his sights on you. And the streets are still just full of chaos of people running around with guns, horses, dynamite, magic, apparently.
Like, because I'd be like, kid, I don't know if 2 people could make a difference. We might have to try to escape out of this town if we can.
Well, one person can always make a difference, but I see your point, Luthor.
Maybe a tactical withdraw might be appropriate here. I'd say, is my arm rehealing or whatever?
You take a moment, you realize it's not, and then you kind of just grab onto it and sort of try to push the bone back where it was supposed to be. And after you do that, it doesn't exactly like heal, but you feel it almost like lock in place. And there's just this moment of like, okay, well, if you continue to do it or continue to move it.
I was gonna say, kid, I don't think I'm, up for continuously breaking my arms or legs.
I only have so many limbs to break.
Why don't we head downstairs and run on the ground, even though it is fancy and cool.
I will say at this point too, you see one of the riders moving towards the gate, and you see a stick of dynamite in their hand, and they toss it at these girls. The rider skids to a stop, tosses the dynamite, and then you see it like slam on the reins basically to get this horse to move. The dynamite comes down, and you see all of them move their attention towards it, attempt some sort of spell, and as they're doing so, the dynamite explodes, and you see the explosion is blinding for a moment, very similar to the flash of your cylinders. And as this flashes, all of you have to at least blink for a moment, and you see just shrapnel and the women just explode outward, slamming down onto the ground from this dynamite explosion. The gate itself, you hear pieces of it creak and kind of twist almost together. The gate is like pushed in. You see a very prominent dent in the side of it. And after that explosion, you see none of the girls are getting back up, not in this area.
Dusty, I'm getting the feeling that we are caught in the middle of 2 ends of a real shitty pickle here.
Never much cared for pickles myself.
And right now, not seeing any immediate danger, you're able to take a moment and pull Dusty up. He does get up to the top of the wall with you. The two of you are looking out at this city now. The sun's still not even high noon yet.
I haven't even had breakfast.
Looking out at this city, you see more closer to the gates. Things are smoking and burning. There are actual fires. Further away, you can still only make out like the slightest little cinders as this ghost rock is just kind of burning and eating up different foundations of places. The explosions have slowed down, but they're still somewhat steady. It's more of a boom over here, and then a couple booms over there, and then a little bit further, a boom, but it's not like this constant explosion anymore. Are you, in fact, walking along this wall deeper into the city?
If we go in towards the city, we can still, quote unquote, do good. We also
We
could
looking
probably
to
make
still
it-
continue to help out, or we looking to just maybe take refuge for a bit? As you said, if this is just two other somebody's fight, maybe best if we just stay out of it.
I mean, I'm kind of getting the feeling like it's a fight between the rail line and whatever these magical women, I guess, with their weird ways are up to. I feel like we are just kind of St. Louis is stuck in the middle. I mean, my duty says save the city. I'm worried that there ain't gonna be much left. I'm still not dead. I guess maybe push on a little bit longer. It's easy for us to leave at a moment's notice. I mean, freedom is on the other side of the wall, for as good and bad as it is.
I suppose you can't take a piggyback rider and do your fancy running thing, can you?
Can I try and maybe like piggyback ride Luthor?
I'm just kidding.
I'm
I'm just
lightly
son.
not
Don't worry
kidding
about
though. I'm actually serious.
You're like,
I
hop
could-
on, and you're like,
Yeah. Like
I
I'll
feel
hold
a
out
little
my hand.
uncomfortable
You're
right
like,
now, son.
oh, okay. We'll go together then, sir.
All right.
Joseph will sort of drop his powers for right now.
Okay.
Just sort of, you see him walk, and it looks like he's actually walking at a normal pace.
Thank you for humoring me.
This way. How's your arm, by the way?
I hold it up. I don't know. Is it better?
it looks a lot better.
Miracle of modern science.
So are you trying to sneak past the rifleman?
Oh, absolutely not.
All right. No?
No, I would shoot him.
Okay, cool. All right. So as you get close enough, you can even like get down, steady your shot. He has no idea you're coming. So
Probably just center mass.
okay.
I figured I would just return the favor.
Sure. So, he's staring in the direction he saw you climb up. He just saw that massive explosion as well, and it kind of confused him for a moment. He's looking around, trying to find the people he was aiming at again, and you fire. It hits, kind of goes through his shoulder, and you see him kind of like be shocked from this impact. He goes to stand up, and he goes to turn and aim the rifle towards you, and as he's backing up, you see him stumble and fall off the other side of the building. Disappears behind it. You're unable to see the result, but rifleman's out of the way.
That's fine. I figure we just keep on, hit the next station and rappel down.
Good shot. Let's keep moving.
All right, so Luthor and Joseph, you are like hopping from cover to cover to cover, making sure not to be seen in the center of this street, because that's where most of the gunfire is taking place. As you're sprinting forward, you do see one person kind of seeming to do the same thing, but they seem to be going towards the gate. They turn the corner, see you, and just instinctually bring up both of their guns and aim one at each of you, and their hands are shaking and they look terrified.
Whoa, partner. Calm down. We're trying to do the same thing you are.
Are you aiming your gun at him, or are you just...
Well, I have my guns out, I'm assuming, or
Yeah.
whatever, but I'm not... I feel like I have the confidence that I'd take them out if I wanted to.
Right.
Because that's my whole thing.
Go ahead and make a persuasion roll.
Could I instead sing them a calming song?
If you would like to. Every little thing.
Yeah.
Explosions in the background as percussion.
Yeah. I have lyrics for a song. I'm not gonna sing it because I'm a bad singer, but I'll tell you the lyrics. Now, this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down, and I'd like to take a minute, don't get all gloomy. I'll tell you how I became a vampire in the town called St. Louis.
Make your performance roll and take a benny.
Okay. That's D6 plus 1. It's only a 3, so that's a 4, but that's a success.
Okay, so he looks majorly confused. Guns aimed at
buddy.
Yeah, you look over at him too, like, what?
Excuse me?
Both of you are just looking at Luthor for a second, and then you see him just like take his fingers off the trigger and like sidestep to kind of go around you, like facing you the entire time. And then once he's able to get to the other side, he backs up a few steps and then just turns around and starts sprinting.
Hey, you can follow us, partner.
He's gone. He's like, no. Just sprinting away. For a moment, you're not sure if it's a threat or not. You see two men basically like rappelling down the wall. And as you kind of draw your weapons and are kind of stancing up to fight back to this or to kind of hide and take cover, you see it's Hubert and Dusty coming down from the wall here.
Well,
Halfway
each
down,
you
Dusty just loses grip again and slams to the earth.
Oh, no.
Well, ain't you a sight for sore eyes? And by the way, you'd see me and I'd be like having like a coat over me.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like with my guns out with the coat on.
Is your arm still jacked up?
There's some blood, but it's fine.
Okay.
It's not raining, son.
It's kind of bright. It's a little much for my sensitive skin.
Ah.
Oh, look at this fancy boy.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm fancy.
Respect and noticed. I don't know if you boys noticed, but when we were up there, so we got these. I think we're caught in the middle of a jam, if you don't mind me saying.
Well, yeah, I think we came to that conclusion too, and we're trying to find a secondary egress from this this town.
Yeah, the front gate don't seem like an option. One of them riders done threw dynamite at it and dented it all to hell.
My buddy Joseph here says he knows of a way out.
Right, the Ghost Rock warehouses. There might be a way out of the city from there if we look around long enough.
Ghost Rock, eh? That ain't
Yeah.
even out there.
I figured you perked up at the thought of that one, then, Dusty.
Cool.
All right, so you begin leading the way. I assume all cautiously keeping cover. You are heading towards these Ghost Rock, or the nearest Ghost Rock warehouse. And as you get up to it, you see, it's actually before you even get up to it, you see homes and other storefronts just disintegrated. Almost like nothing left, like foundations, and that's it. And as you're looking off where that warehouse was, there is nothing. And there's a kind of a crater in the ground as well, and you see just cindering earth. It seems to be just forever burning.
So where is this this exit?
These exits, while they're feasible to move through, they're very small, and it's sort of like a back entrance at the wall, like sort of an underground in like a tunnel that you sort of go down straight for a little while and then back up in order to go sort of under this wall, wheeling just carts of Ghost Rock up, almost like its own little track that it runs on to get to the other side of the wall.
Mine shaft almost, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, the odds of finding that, at least in this warehouse, not gonna happen.
Presumably
The
there's more
SOL here.
than- Oh, no, go ahead.
Hubert, you said we could go up and over?
I mean, the wall. We can get up on the wall. We can use the ropes and go back over the other side.
I think that would be the wise decision right now.
You all climb up
Mhm.
to the top of this wall. And as you are, the last of you's getting pulled
Mhm.
up, you're all on top of this wall, and
Mhm.
you start positioning the ropes in order
Mhm.
to successfully climb down. What would be the desired order?
I think I would go last over because I can at least guide people to like safely get down.
I would be fine with going last myself, though.
Okay,
You
and-
missed earlier. There was a mishap, and I healed quite nicely from it. So you go. If I fall off the wall, just kind of carry me around for a little bit, and I'll heal up. Ask the kid for details, but
Yeah.
let's just do this.
Don't ask me for details. I don't know what's going on. But I would go down first and just sort of ready a defensive position to clear anything out under
Mhm.
down at the bottom of the wall.
Sure.
So I'd be willing to go first.
All right, so Joseph's lowered down first,
Mhm.
followed by Dusty
Mhm.
lowering down after. Hubert, you go next.
Yeah, I ain't gonna argue with Luthor if he's got his weird way. I mean, I'll go third.
All right, Hubert is, rappelling down.
Mhm.
Luthor, make a notice roll.
Yay. Let's see here. 2d6. That's a 5 and a 1. So 5.
Okay. So you're looking down. Hubert's almost to the bottom, and you hear a ringing in your ear, almost like the equivalent of like your ears perking up if you were like a dog. And you hear this ringing, and your head kind of cocks for a moment, and you feel this vibration. It's not actually here. The wall is not vibrating, but you can feel it. And something just tells you to look. And you turn your head, you look towards the gate, towards the front gate of the city. And then you look past it, and you see a train. You see a train going far faster than it should be, speeding towards St. Louis, speeding to slam into this wall. And you see more of you smell this familiar smell of black powder and ghost rock coming from inside of this train as it's just barreling towards you, barreling towards the city. And that is where we'll have to end this session, because the game marshal doesn't know what happens after that yet.